Okay, let's get right into it. It's so easy to think of AI as this sort of magical black box, right? But the truth is, AI models are actually a lot like students. They start out with a really broad general education, and from there, it's our job to teach them the specialized skills they need for whatever job we have in mind. Today, we're going to walk through that entire educational journey, from day one to graduation.
You're using AI all the time, probably way more than you even realize, from chatbots to recommendations. But have you ever just stopped and wondered how it all works? I mean, how does a general know-it-all AI actually learn to become a specialized coder or a brilliant creative writer? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now.
All right, so every school story needs a student. And in our case, that student is something we call a foundation model. This is our star pupil, brilliant and full of potential, but not yet specialized in anything.
So what exactly is a foundation model? Well, the best way to think about it is to imagine a person who has read like a huge chunk of the entire internet. They're incredibly smart, a true brilliant graduate. They can talk to you about ancient history, quantum physics, the latest pop culture trends, you name it. But here's the catch. If you ask them to do a specific job, like practice law or perform surgery, they just don't have that specialized training. That's our foundation model. Tons of raw knowledge, but it's a generalist.
And this graph right here, this shows you why this is such a huge deal right now. What's so wild is the speed of it all. I mean, just look at those curves. They are practically vertical. They show the growth of the tools people are using to take these foundation models and customize them. And these tools are growing faster than almost any other software in history. It's like a gold rush. Everyone is scrambling to take that brilliant graduate and turn them into an expert.
So, you've got this super smart new AI graduate. How do you even start teaching them? Well, the simplest and most direct way is you just have a conversation with it. And this brings us to the first method of AI education, talking to it through something called prompting.
Prompting, or what some people call prompt engineering, is really an art form. It's not about writing complicated code or anything like that. Nope. It's all about using plain, simple English to ask questions and give instructions in a really clever way that guides the AI to the exact answer you're looking for. It's basically a conversation with a purpose.
But here's where it gets really interesting. How you ask the question matters a lot. On the left, you've got a simple direct prompt. It'll probably give you the right answer, sure, but it isn't really thinking. But now look at the prompt on the right. See that one little phrase? Let's think step by step. That's a game changer. You're not just asking for an answer, you're coaching the AI on how to reason its way to the answer. It's a technique that just dramatically improves its performance.
Okay, so prompting is fantastic for getting the AI to use what it already knows. But what happens when our brilliant graduate needs information that wasn't in any of its original textbooks? Well, for that, we need to give it a library card.
And this is a really big problem. You know, foundation models have a knowledge cutoff date. It's like they graduated in 2023 and have absolutely no idea what's happened in the world since. They don't know about current events or your company's latest private documents. So, what do? The solution is this really clever process called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. Let's just follow the flow on this diagram. It makes it super clear. A user asks a question. But wait, before the big AI brain tries to answer, a little helper system called a retriever first goes out and looks up relevant, up-to-date information from a separate knowledge base. Then it takes that fresh info and adds it to the original question. So now the AI has all the latest context it needs to give a great answer.
So the key is knowing when to pull out this library card. It's perfect for when the AI starts making stuff up, what we call hallucinating, or when its facts are just plain old. And it's essential when it needs to access private data it was never trained on. The best analogy really is an open book exam. We aren't changing the student's brain, we're just giving them the right book to reference during the test.
Now, let's go to the next level. Giving our AI a library card provides it with new facts. But what if we need to do more than that? What if we need to teach it an entirely new skill or fundamentally change its behavior? For that, a library card isn't enough. We have to enroll it in a specialized course. And this advanced course is called fine-tuning. Now, this is totally different from RAG. We're not just feeding the AI information for one specific question. With fine-tuning, we are actually updating the model's internal brain, its core programming. It's like the difference between looking up a recipe to bake one cake versus actually going to culinary school to become a master baker.
This slide right here is so important because it just perfectly shows the difference. Look at the top half. That's prompting. The examples are temporary, right? You have to stuff them into the question every single time you ask.
But down below, with fine-tuning, you use those same examples to train and create a whole new specialized version of the model. The knowledge becomes permanent. It's baked right in.
So you fine-tune when the problem isn't about facts, it's about behavior. Maybe your AI is just way too wordy, or it struggles to follow really complex instructions. Fine-tuning can teach it to be concise. Or maybe you want it to adopt a specific personality, right? You could train it to talk like a formal professor, or even a witty pirate. You can also use it to teach a complex new skill, like writing code in your company's very specific style. It's all about permanently changing how the AI operates.
Okay, our student AI has been prompted, it has its library card, it's even taken a specialized course. Its education is pretty much complete. Or is it? How do we actually know if any of this worked? Well, you guessed it, it's time for the final exam.
In the world of AI, we call this final exam evaluation. And honestly, this might just be the most critical step in the entire process. Before we let our newly trained AI out into the real world, we have to test it rigorously to make sure it's not only accurate and helpful, but also that it's safe and reliable.
So how do you grade an AI? It's kind of a three-part process. First, you run a bunch of automated tests. Think of these as the multiple choice section of the exam, where we use benchmarks to check for things like factual accuracy or if the code it writes actually works. Second, you bring in the humans. Real people interact with the AI and rate its answers on more subtle things like helpfulness or tone. And third, and this part is pretty wild, you can actually use an even more powerful AI to act as the teacher and grade the student AI's answers.
And this right here is the key takeaway for anyone who's serious about building with AI. The pros don't wait until the very end to think about the test. It's a best practice called evaluation-driven development, which is a fancy way of saying you decide how you're going to grade your AI before you even start building it. You define what an A+ looks like from the very beginning, and then you work towards it.
So there you have it, the entire education of an AI. We started with a generalist foundation model, and we turned it into a specialized expert. We've seen how we can teach it new facts, new skills, and even new behaviors. And all of this leaves us with one final, very important question. Now that we have the tools to teach an AI almost anything, what will you choose to teach it next?